So recently I got a couple complaints in my Twitch chat from confused viewers saying that they had no idea what was going on while I did Solo Flawless DSC Crypt. And that's completely understandable because without reading a 2,000 word yapfest from some solo server guide makers, some of the tech in this run makes absolutely no sense and has no practical application outside of some of the solos. So I wanted to take some time and break it down for you, from what we need in the loadouts to what glitches we use and so on and so forth. But before we start, this video already assumes you understand how DSC Crypt works in a fire team. If you don't understand the DSC Crypt mechanics, then I suggest watching a dado guide or another guide from your favorite creator. So let's get right into it. I have cut out the audio from my microphone in this clip and all the other stuff, so essentially you're just going to be hearing game volume and whatever background music I have going. So first things first, we have to talk about entrance. It is probably the easiest part of the entire raid. But it's just kind of a nothing burger. We load in with Galahorn, and I load in on prismatics so that maybe I have a chance at grappling a horizontal galley, which is like 1 in a million. But I just shoot a couple Galahorns, jump off the platform, and then that'll clear most of the ads for me while I'm traversing to the door. There'll be a couple stragglers left, a couple wretches that I'll just take out with my Tanishas, and then, yeah. We just continue on. The one thing I do make sure to note is that before loading into DSC Crypt, I either rally to a flag or load into a master piece of content, or I load into the shooting range. This is just to get full ammos, because if you don't know, you load in on full ammo if you have full ammo in the previous activity, but if you load in completely fresh or with 0 ammo, you load in with 0 ammo. So it's really quite stupid, I'll be honest. But I make sure to have full ammo so that I can hit these kind of shatter skates. The only thing that's kind of important to know here is I stand on this little bubble kind of where my feet are, and then I aim my crosshair on this ridge. Nothing special. The entrance isn't really that crazy. But this is going to line me perfectly up to the second bubble pretty much. And I'm just going to land here on this ridge and shatter skate to the left of this little lamp, I guess. And this will wind me up at 3, which is pretty cool. And then this line, I guess we're a little too far. I'll rewind here. I land on this little crate thing, whatever you want to call it, and then I aim about here, and that ends me up at the 5th bubble, I think it is, or 6th. This is 6th. Sorry. And then here I land on whatever this is, and I look in between these 2 rocks, and I hit a nice shatter skate, and that pretty much ends me up at the end of this maze. I only have like 1 turn to take with my Sparrow, and I just make sure I dodge over that mine so I don't get slowed. And then here it's just making sure that the brigs don't kill me, and yeah, pretty chill entrance. Now we just kind of Sparrow it the rest of the way. I take this time to pre-swap to my loadouts, and I'm usually, if I'm not capped, I have to for security you have to cap your FPS to 30 at some points. I just play capped FPS the whole time throughout security. So I take the time to cap my FPS there. I guess while we are kind of just sparrowing throughout this part, we can talk about our loadouts for this entire thing, or for security. First things first, we are on prismatic this entire run. There's no point where we take off prismatic, unless you want to do like a stasis entrance, just a shatter skate, or you want to shatter skate throughout the traversal after Atraks, but yeah, stay on prismatic pretty much the entire run. There's a lot of things that are needed in security. The biggest thing is our Storm's Edge. Storm's Edge is going to be what gets us out of the map, so we're going to have to do a couple oobs for a few reasons. One, or the first oob that we're going to do is to get out of the map so that we can scan, and we don't have to do a bunch of like weird tricks to hit the operator panels, because the correct panels for some reason only take 1 damage, but the incorrect panels take like 5, or like take more damage than like 1 damage, if that makes sense. to activate. So it's really strange. So you can scan in some weird ways. If you look at like really old security clears, you'll see this happen where people will take out like lightweight shotguns and they'll shoot the panels from like 1,000,000 miles away and they won't activate, which is very interesting. And then we have combo blow on, specifically just to get our super back, because we have to use our super a couple times throughout the run. Yeah, none of the rest of the mods are really that important. It's basically just combo blowing, which is kind of it. We have Taniks on. I have Taniks for my damage loadout so that I can proc stylish. This is really useful because during the damage phase, you want to be invis at certain points because you'll get flinched off of seeing the fuses and stuff. I have retraced on. This is just for demo. You can use any trace rifle here, or I use a trace. I've seen people use for barons. I've seen people use a billion other different guns. It doesn't really matter. And then some of you might notice Salvation's Grip, and you may be like, what is Salvation's Grip for? Like, this weapon has never had a use in the history of ever, and it's actually really useful here. Essentially, what we're going to be doing with Salvation's Grip, you'll see in a minute, is we're going to use lineups for it that are going to push us pretty much into the roof so that some of our character is being pushed into the roof, and then we're just going to use our Storm's Edge. It's going to push us out of the map. So this pretty much gets us as close to the roof as possible. So it's very nice. I have Caliban's Lyre. This is just for faster ad clear. Lyre's really nice because the captains, they're pretty chunky. Damage loadout, pretty simple, pretty easy. Just Choir. Choir's so good. It fucking destroys everything. Same class item. You could probably use like Coyote and Synthos or something, or Coyote. It doesn't matter. I've seen a billion different roles on the class item. And then we have Withering Blade just to proc stylish again. And as it's a ranged option. You could use Threaded Spike, but I like the multiple charges personally. And then Grapple on both loadouts for just mobility. Okay, let's get into security. So what we need to do first is scan the bottom floor, which is our biggest task here. That's the first step in kind of doing that is. But to start the encounter, we have to pick up Operator. So right away, we're just going to pick up Operator, and we're just going to dunk it, and yeah, so that's it. And then we're going to go pick up Scanner, and we're going to do our first oob of the run. Now, I found these lineups only work for me on 30 FPS, which is kind of funny because FPS determines how much you're affected by gravity, and these lineups differ based on your FPS, which is really funny. Hopefully I'll have a clip on screen of me doing the lineup on 30 FPS and then one doing it at like 100 something. If not, then maybe I'm lying. Anyways, I stand on this corner of the shelf and I turn around to look at this pillar. This is where we're going to do our lineup. I like to put my middle crosshair just somewhere in this area where my mouse is. If you go too far down, then the crystal's going to wrap around the pillar and you won't be able to get the crystal right here. And any higher, you won't be able to jump on. So I just line it up, take my time, and shoot. And then I'm going to jump on this end of the crystal. This end, like right here, allows us to stand on the crystal just to be able to get a jump. And then the moment we're on it, we're going to crouch and we're going to kind of push ourselves to somewhere around here. And then we're going to look up and to the right and throw a super. And this will allow us to breach out of the map like that. It's very crucial while you're doing it that you hold W and throughout the entire thing, and like before and after your super, and then you just need to make sure that you're not looking too far up. I've seen people stare straight up at the map and they just throw their dagger right into the roof. Here I just use a second dagger just for mobility. And if you're at all familiar with any Deep Zone Crypt oobs, this is pretty simple, pretty basic. if not. All we're doing here is just going to look at the light side. So as you can see right now, we can already see 4, and we've seen a frame of 5, and we can tell it's 5. And then we can see the other panels. So 1, 2, 3, and the only ones that are lit up are 4 and 5. So then we kind of hit this crouch line, and we walk our way over here, and I just check. I see 5. 4 wasn't lit, as we can see. Now, some people kill the servitor here to avoid a soft lock. I've personally never had any issues. But if you do feel like killing servitor just to avoid the potential of a soft lock, make sure you're moving while you're shooting through the floor with your Taniks or whatever. And then we check here. 3 is not lit. So then we have to run over here and check 2. And because it's not 2, we know that it's 1 because 3, 4, and 2 weren't lit. So that leaves us with only 2 options that it could possibly be, since we can't actually technically see 1. And then I write my I write my callouts in chat because I have dementia at 21, which is pretty embarrassing. Okay, so now that we're back in the map, we've obviously we've joining allies. And you can see that we've gotten rid of our scanner. And we have to rebuild super for our next oob, which is going to be out of the basement to get back to DPS. So this is just going to be a combo blow section where we're just killing as many ads, dodging close to enemies, and just killing as much stuff. The only important thing to note here is what enemies you have to kill. Because you want to make sure that you're fast. So the enemies that open the door to the next room, because we have to kill a servitor in dark side, the enemies that open the door are any of the captains. So the captains, the servitor, and then after the servitor dies, it will spawn another wave of drags and 2 sniper shanks. And you have to make sure that those sniper shanks are dead, and like 95% of the drags have to be dead. Usually I make sure I take out the captains first, but in this instance, I went too fast during my scan, so my captains didn't spawn, which is a weird bug. If this ever happens to you, you just cross over and just clear ads on the other side. You'll be able to pick up operator, and yeah, it's pretty simple. Again, we're just building super here. Doesn't really matter what we kill. We just want to build supers fast. Captains give you the most energy. So I'm just making sure I kill them. And once I'm close enough, I'm like, okay, I can just go downstairs. I have enough super. Speed is of the essence because I'm fairly certain that the amount of time it takes you to run is, it also cuts into your damage, if that makes sense. So the more time you take running, the less time you have to deal damage to the fuses, which can suck. Now, I kill the wretches out of just pure hate. These guys are the worst thing to ever touch this planet. So, yeah, I just make sure that they don't mess up any of my Salvation script lineups because it's a pain to get them adjusted or to fix them and whatever. So I always just make sure I take them out. Plus, I like the grapple energy since I do use my grapple quite often. So here we're up to our next lineup. Now, again, this only works on 30 FPS. I found if you stand further back, the same lineup works. But yeah. So what we're doing is pushing ourselves up against this left wall here and making sure they're standing right snug to it. And then we want some gap between this little like panel, whatever you want to call it, and the wall. And then we're going to worry about our Salvation script shop. So you can see there's like servers. I don't know what you would consider this. And then there's a little wall here. We want to place our right crosshair in between these two walls, like where they meet. There's like a little gray kind of layer in between them, and that's where we place our Salvation, or our like the right side of our crosshair. And then again, our middle crosshair right here is lining up where the wall meets the floor. And then we just fully charge our shot and swap loadouts because I like to trust my lineups personally. It's definitely not gotten me killed before. Now here, if you're confident enough with shooting 5, you can jump on the crystal and shoot 5 from the crystal, but I've wiped to it a few times and I just swore off of doing it. So I always shoot my 5, or so I always shoot 5 on the ground and then worry about our oob. Same kind of thing goes here as well as the last oob. You hold W and you pop your super and you just make sure you're looking kind of up. You don't want to be looking straight up, but you want to make sure that you're kind of aiming somewhere at the shower. I've seen lineups where you can get into the shower, but it varies depending on the ads. Like, as you can see, I track back to the ads. It doesn't really matter. Like, a second is not going to change anything. And then immediately I dunk my operator augment and cancel it with a grapple, because if you hit your grapple at the correct time, grapple takes over the animation that you're doing, which makes it like ever so slightly faster. And then here we need to pick up scanner to make sure that we can see the fuses, because we don't want a 1 in 700 chance of security. And then you may be asking, how do you see the fuses? And that's a great question, because not a lot of people actually know this. I reproc stylish here just to make sure I'm invis, and then this little crack here is going to show us all the fuses for the basement. So here you kind of line yourself up on this corner and you just walk along like this. And as you can see, this fuse, you can already see a fuse, which is left side. Which we're just going to shoot right away. It's pretty good RNG, can't lie. And exploder shanks are the devil here. You have to like be watching out for them the entire encounter. You have to make sure that you're on top of it the whole time. They will kill you every single time without a question. And then we just kind of walk along. I tap D and W to... I'm pretty slow at it. I've seen people hold the inputs and go along. But you just want to walk around this curve kind of. And then as you've seen just there, that little white part in the floor was middle. And then we're just looking, and I didn't see right. Right is really hard to see when it isn't the fuse, because you really only see the side of it, so you only see just the yellow. You don't see the actual white. And then here we see we can just kind of stand on the opposite side of 3, so kind of where 3 is, and we can see the 2 fuses. And obviously this is dark middle. The only fuse you can't see is dark right, but by inferring, I guess, you can know that it's dark right. And we're doing a lot of bouncing back and forth because this game kind of gave us bad RNG here. And we're just checking, so it's not middle, it's not right. We know it's hidden, and I just don't get it quite in time. It's basically a one-shot fuse. You can even see it goes. I'm even yelling because I'm like, oh, that's bullshit. And it's basically 1 HP because the thing would be sitting here. So now I have to rebuild back a super for the first oob that we have to do again. Sometimes it's nice to pop Transcendence here because you don't really need your Transcendence. So sometimes it just makes the ad clear a little bit faster, which in this case I did. Now you always got to be careful of these exploder shanks after the damage phase, because again, they're actually Hitler, man. They have wiped so many flawless runs. It is insane. They are probably the worst enemy of all time. They have the craziest tracking. Same thing, same lineup. We're just making sure that our crosshair is right around here. We're standing, putting our back against the wall, and then we're just jumping into the crystal. And then once we get kind of somewhere around here, we're going to look up to our right, hold W, super, and we're just going to get right out of the map. It's really simple. I recommend actually trying it if you can cap your frames. If you're on PC, I recommend capping your frames. It's actually quite a fun oob. Makes you feel kind of cool. And then here we can see it just kind of requires some strafing sometimes to see these things. But we can see that our callouts are 2 and 4. 5 is obviously not lit. We can see a bit of 3, and 1 is obviously not lit. So we have 2, 4. And then as we come around, we look. 4 is not lit. 5 is not lit. Now we're kind of hoping for 3. It's very nice. There's 3. And then we just jump across to see. And it's 1 since it's not 2. And yeah, again, writing our callouts because dementia in the year 2025. It's bad, man. Same thing again here. It's one of the tough parts about solos is that it's basically just repeating the same thing that you've done a million times over, just with slight variations. Here, we just want to make sure that we don't die to the exploder shanks, so we just kill them extra early, just paying attention as soon as we load in. I have died to them a few times loading back in, not knowing that it was my second round, which is quite embarrassing, but, you know. Surely it happens to everyone. Okay. This is kind of what a proper round looks like when you actually spawn in everything on the side. So you just make sure you kill everything. Here is where I use my trace to get some kills, because sometimes I use my grapples on the captains, just depending on how fast I am. And now we're going to come over here, kill this servitor so that it unlocks our operator, and we can go down to the basement. We don't really need to kill more ads. I try to grapple here, but I realize I use my grapple, and I look for a couple kills, maybe just to get some extra grenade regen, but it's definitely not needed. So now it's inputting callouts, and that's pretty much it, you know? Nothing really crazy right now. Just looking for some wretch kills, for some more grapple energy. And now 3 is good RNG here. I don't remember if I do the strategy here, but essentially if you get 3 and not 5, you can jump on the crystal right away, and you can shoot 5 to start the room, like to make the room burn, and then you can shoot 3 so that it stops the damage phase from starting as soon as you input 3. So it gives you like a second and a half to just kind of input your augment, which gives you just slightly more time. So yeah, here, shoot 5, it starts burning, I shoot 3, and then I do my oob relatively quickly, and we see that the fuses don't open until I'm pretty much already depositing my augment, whereas on the first round, as soon as I shot 5, the round started. So it gives you half a second more. It's actually pretty noticeable when you're trying to go for like a 1 phase, for example. Now, I like to scan light. I have had a handful of issues scanning dark because it drives me kind of insane when I scan dark and then it's not dark, and then I go to light, scan light. It's not any of the light fuses, so it's hidden, and then I feel like I waste a bunch of time having to traverse between the rooms. Again, that might have been pretty quick there, but just scanning the floor. And now I want to check real quick. It's the left side fuse. Just gotta make sure I don't die to that shank. He did explode, but only took half my health somehow, and he didn't kill me, which is kind of crazy. Again, scanning lights. We didn't see any of the light fuses, so we know it's hidden. Forgot it's 1 HP, so I mag dumped it. And then it's pretty much just a quick cleanup process here. So now it's middle, as we see, and you know, it's just shoot the 2 fuses that are left. Pretty easy, pretty simple. Security's probably the easiest encounter in this raid. It's nothing too crazy. If you're a really good player, you should probably be able to do this in a day. If you're, you know, newer to solos, it might take you a couple days, but it's mostly just about knowing your lineups and getting crack scanning down, because it can be pretty difficult. One of the big issues is just getting the right callouts on light, because that is very difficult. Sometimes you'll see middle and you'll be like, oh, that's left, and then you shoot left and you'll wipe, and it was actually middle. Okay, Atraks. There is a lot to talk about, and I am spamming my loadouts. I do that because I don't want any ammo for some reason. But I did actually wipe one time to it because I rallied on a descent loadout, which has 2 primaries, and I have 2 specials on my Atraks loadout. Okay, so let's talk about Atraks. This is a pretty intense encounter. There's a lot going on here. And by a lot, I mean a lot. So first, let's talk about our running loadout. First things first, let's talk about our ad clear, because ad clear is pretty important here because it determines how fast you're going to be and what you can do throughout the encounter. The slower you ad clear, it probably means the less you're going to be able to do. So like when it comes to final stand, if your ad clear is really slow after your 4th floor, it means you're not going to be able to do scanner final, which is really, really easy compared to having to look for all these clones and do all this and check with your sidearm and stuff. So first things first, I use Agar Scepter here just because it obliterates. It is an insane ad clear weapon. I love this thing to death. Freezes everything. It's really good. And then I use the Ikelos shotgun. This is just because we're going to be clearing a couple servitors. It's nice to have the 1-2 punch to one-shot them if they're weak. Eager Edge just to move around the encounter a little bit faster. And then we have our Synthoceps and Assassin. You can do something different here than Assassin, but Synthoceps is absolutely the best. I had a friend doing Liars not that long ago, and Liars is just not as good now. I do wish it was good, but it's just kind of bad. Golden Gun is really important here because this is going to be a big thing on the 3rd floor. This makes 3rd floor really, really easy because you just manually swap to Celestial and you just obliterate a clone, which is just so easy instead of having to check it. And then you have to get rid of the clone on your head, and then you have to shoot it with a sidearm and stuff. And if it's like window on your 3rd floor and you're really slow, then there's just a good chance that you're going to wipe. And then we're basically going to be abusing a billion different buffs at the same time. So that's why we have Combination Blow on, Grapple, Stylish, and Winter Shroud. Winter Shroud is to proc Stylish, and Stylish does a billion extra % damage, and Grapple or Combination Blow does like I think 450% extra grapple damage. Aspects aren't too important. I don't know if Courage actually procs on Atraks, because if you don't know, some buffs and some debuffs don't work on Atraks. Like Tractor doesn't work, but some forms of Weaken do, like a Suppressor Grenade works, which is weird. Nothing crazy here. Pretty much just special ammo finders, because you will kind of run out of special ammo since we're swapping from Agars to a primary. Resist or whatever. I don't know why I have a void one on. Probably be better on arc. Yeah, nothing crazy. You just want to be able to get your combo blow back for your stats. That's really it. So 70 class, 70 melee. And then we need to, because I didn't feel like making a billion different loadouts, you need a manual swap to Navigator, and then you need to manually swap to a sidearm, a rocket sidearm, or a glaive in this slot. I preferred sidearm because my glaives were doing 0 damage, so I would wipe constantly. If I had to shoot a clone that was far away, it would do like 0 damage, and I have a few clips of me wiping to that. But glaives are easier because if you're close, they chunk a little bit more than the sidearm for checking the clones, which we'll get into later. And then our damage loadout, we have Rufus' Fury with ricochet rounds. This is to shoot the clones off of your head, because there's no other real way to get rid of them. And you know, you can really do this with any AR. I just like the reconstruction because you don't ever have to reload, which is really nice. And then we have a 1-2 punch shotgun, which we use for the first grapple set, but then immediately after we swap to another sidearm, so that we can check the clones and stuff on 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floor. Eager Edge Sword for movement, and again, we're sticking on our Synthoceps. We have manual swap stuff set up just for high super and celestial, but that'll come later. Mods are nothing important. If you didn't know, holsters actually work in the elevator, which is really cool. So you can empty your mag before going into the elevator, and then by the time you get to the top, you'll probably be full on ammo because your holster's working pretty hard. I love holsters. They're amazing. Mobility mod just for some extra mobility, and then grenade fonts for whatever extra grenade that we have if we have armor charges, which we probably usually should. Okay, so let's get right into it. First things first, we have to start the encounter by ad clearing as fast as humanly possible. The faster we go, the better. Well, I guess that's not actually true because I like to take my time a little bit so that I don't have to worry about getting as many combo below refreshments. But on other classes, you do want to clear ads as fast as possible. So I like to start in the middle, go right, then go left, then come back to middle, go right, and then go left. And then just kind of repeat that cycle where I go back to middle and then go right, and then I end up top. Shanks are pretty important. Shanks fuck you up in this encounter. Yeah, you want to make sure they're dead. I'm not going to go into like the specifics of like how the encounter works, like ad clear as well. I'm not going to worry about like telling you that this amount of ads die, because I'll be honest, I truthfully don't really know like what the exact amount of ads need to die to spawn servitors. But yeah. One interesting thing to note here is that if you don't kill all 3 servitors, you won't start damage phase up top, which allows you to move the clones, which allows you to move the Atraks clones into more favorable positions up top. So here, what I'm gonna do is for later on especially, I'm going to edge these servitors to 1 HP so that later on when I come down here, I can just simply shoot them, melee them, do whatever, and they'll just die in one shot instead of having to worry about a bunch of others, or instead of having to like punch them a billion times and worry about combo blow and whatever. And then when we pick up operator, we just want to shoot down, or I'm going to shoot down this elevator, the 2 corners, I guess, or the 2 edge ones, because these are the best options for when you're up top. And I'm going to use the left side elevator from my perspective right here. Again, just making sure our shanks are dead, getting this servitor down to 1 HP. We kill the middle servitor because it can make the middle clone immune. So that's the only thing we want to make sure that we do, and that's why we kill the middle guy. And then if you guys didn't know, Operator has this really cool feature where if you shoot the panel at the same time as your interact and you get in it, the door closes extra fast. So if you watch real carefully, you'll see once my interact gets to like 50 to 75%, I will shoot the panel, or I guess it'd be pretty close, and then the door insta closes as opposed to taking some time to close. You can look back at some of the older Atraks clears, and you'll see how much of a difference this makes. And it actually can be the difference between wiping. So here it doesn't really matter. You can do whatever you want. Ad clear wise, you can go right, you can go left, you can go middle. I always start left. And yeah. And if you didn't know, one of the coolest things about Atraks, again, is that you can shoot these doors open, but they don't activate until a clone actually goes into them. So I pre-open these doors so that I don't have to wait around for them during the running phase, because again, you have so little time that having these doors open actually does matter. And this is the reason why Atraks becomes like 0 RNG. Like, if you didn't do all these things, you didn't open the doors, and you didn't shoot the panels while you were going down in the elevator, going up or down in the elevator, Atraks kind of becomes a little bit RNG then, because you need to correctly guess which clone it is, because you just won't have enough time to scan all of them. Again, just clearing ads. We're trying to leave as many wretches alive as possible. And here, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to be real slow about it, because I want to make sure I can maximize my combo blow refreshes. So I really want to like take as much time as I possibly can to kill these last few ads. so that I get the maximum out of my combo blow. And here, just check and make sure my doors are open, because there have been a few instances where I kind of forgot them and might have ended up in a wipe. And then here, I'm running back after I have killed my last servitor. And what I'm going to be doing here is shooting this kind of wall wherever, and just trying to manipulate the Atraks clones into favorable positions. Because you can... So... I guess we can paint it here. Let's just say that this is the left side, right? And then there's a potential clone that can be in this side, and then this, and down here, right? So all these boxes have potential clones. Now we know that there are doors here on the top. There's a door here on the bottom, and then same thing here and here. Now, one of the big things is if I have a clone, for example, when he's window, so a clone is back here, I have to go a very long distance to get to this bottom door. Whereas if I bait the guy to come over here, I have less of a distance to get to this bottom door, right? I cut my travel time pretty much in half, effectively. So we want to make sure our clones move closer to these doors, or as close to these doors as possible. There have been a few times where even I've had a clone directly on top of this top door, and you pretty much just walk in, and then by the time you get to the bottom floor, your clones aren't even ready to be shot yet, which is pretty awesome. The only thing is this door almost practically never gets used unless you went somewhere, or unless you did something very wrong in your ad clear. And we use this door for later anyways, so because it's just so far out of the way. And then here, we're just going to be kind of waiting out our combo blow timer as much as we possibly can, so we have as many wretches to proc synthos. And as you can see, Extinction Protocol activated, so now we have to check the clones. Now you're going to have to pay attention really close to the health bar here, because you're going to see a very small chunk of HP come off whenever we shoot one of these clones. So that wasn't the right clone. That wasn't the right clone. We're going to check the bottom guy, and that was the bottom guy. If you were paying attention, you can see that there is a very small amount of HP missing on that check, and that's how we know that this guy is real, because they do take a little bit of damage, which is very cool. And then we set up our navigator point, swap to our other loadout, and then we dodge to proc stylish. So this guy is now frozen, and we're going to shoot him to proc stylish and our 1-2 punch, and then we're going to hit a grapple and bang, and then we again 1-2 punch and then hit our second grapple, and we do basically half of Atraks's HP in one thing here. And then as soon as that's over, we're going to run over to whatever the closest door is and get rid of this clone immediately by using ricochet rounds. Now, I don't know exactly what the lineup is, like how to describe it, I guess, but the ricochet rounds are going to take the clone off your head. And if you don't know, clones, like players in general, drop everything to their back right. So it drops over your back right shoulder. So that's why we look to our right in this case. And then we have to avoid a glitch because sometimes Atraks's clones can be a little bit goofy, and they can instantly pick up as soon as you move off the clone, which pretty much results in a wipe. So here we just stand still for half a second, and then we run off. And I use grapple for mobility, eager edge as well, and then we get into the elevator nice, safe, and sound. Again, where we swap, and then to be able to check the bottom floor clones, we swap to the sidearm, and personal preference, I like to swap to Withering Blades so that I have some ranged melee abilities, which is actually really nice and has saved my ass a few times during some of these Flawless runs. So now we're going to check the clones. We just got to check them real slow. It's the first guy. Hit him with a couple of Withering Blades. He's going to die pretty quick. And then we're just going to go back upstairs. Now, while we're doing this, we're going to swap to a cloak with high super, because we need to swap to Celestial here. And then we swap to Celestial Nighthawk again as well, high super. And then here I use a little trick where if you swap to a special weapon, with a special weapon on, it'll reload the other special weapon, which if you're keen, if you've been paying attention, you'll know that I didn't need to do this because I have holsters. It also resets my Temporal Blast, which sometimes can wipe you because it can do a big explosion. We don't have Temporal Blast anymore, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, that's if you want to get rid of the holster. And then here again, we're gonna check one of the clones while moving our way to the door. This is where a little bit of game knowledge and you know, good thing I don't have dementia that's that bad. I want to make sure that I move to one of these top two guys. Because it's just the most efficient way. Because going down here, for example, I wouldn't have line of sight on this guy. And then so for example, if I shot both of these guys, and it's this guy over here to the left, getting up from here is a pretty difficult task. And then all the way back here in time is just really inefficient. Whereas if I went up top here, I can check this guy, I can check this guy, and then if it's not that guy, I have this guy, and I'm just on a horizontal plane of movement. Or again, the opposite way, where, you know, I can check this guy, and then get rid of my clone here. The reason why we're getting rid of these clones early is because we don't have enough time to juggle them later on in the rounds. As you'll see, it gets pretty tight even with just 2 clones taking them up, which is going to be a whole process a little bit later on. But yeah, so here we're just looking. It's not that guy. Not that guy either. We're just going to get rid of our clone. And then we're going to do a dodge to be able to make sure that we have a Radiant melee. And we proc Radiant. And we just bang. Hit the guy. It's going to do a big chunk of damage. Crits don't really matter on Atraks for some reason. Who knows? It's like lock set. The damage numbers show that they do more damage, but at the end of the day, it's only what matters on the health bar, and the health bar doesn't care whether or not you hit a crit. So it doesn't really matter if you shoot her in the foot, the arm, the leg, the crit, the head, the toes. Doesn't matter. And then here we don't have to get rid of this clone, so we just take it downstairs with us. It'd be a time loss and potentially could be a wipe if you're too slow. We just don't take the risk, and we just go downstairs again, where we swap back to our old loadouts and just sit in the elevator, chilling, just ride our way down. There's actually a pretty funny clear. A while ago, there was a guy who was eating a pretzel every time he entered the elevator, which was pretty awesome to watch. Same thing, check the clones, see which one it is. Now I notice that it's the right side guy, so I just shoot him, just hit him with whatever. And then I'm going to go back to the elevator to get rid of my first clone right away. And then I'm going to go to the guy that to the clone that I just broke, pick up his thing, collect whatever ammo because I won't be back here, and head up in the elevator, again, where the trick is very useful, to just go ever so slightly faster. Now, as soon as I get up here, I'm going to get rid of the clone, as you'll see right here. And it'll fall off, hopefully, into this little divot. And now we're just going to go back down and grab that other clone. Pretty simple. Now here, just, again, get rid of the clone. And then, because my melee doesn't one-shot these shanks with the melee stat that I had on these loadouts, I weaken them up a little bit so that they're one-shot for later. And I just collect this clone and go back up in the elevator. Pretty simple. And then I swap to Stompies for the extra little bit of mobility here because we're going to be jumping up and down from the top to the bottom. So here, we're just going to swap the clones. We're just going to reset both. It is important that you don't cleanse on this wall. I have been told that the clone can glitch through the wall. So don't do that. Always break against this wall. And now I'm going to take my first clone down to this bottom left cleanse. But I'm not going to enter the thing yet. What I'm going to do is stand right next to the operator panel, and I'm going to shoot the clone off my head. Then I'm going to go back and grab the other clone, so I can, you know, hit a 2-in-1, 2 birds with 1 stone, as they say. And then I can kick this clone like a soccer ball, since you, for some reason, can't get rid of, or since you can't pick up 2 clones at once. And I hate doing it on the doors, so I always run to the back for this last little bit, shoot the clone off my head, and just turn around right away and just leave. I don't know if that works later on with like the progression of the thing. And then I return to our first running loadout, where we're gonna try to collect some special ammo and kill some servitors. Now it is important here that you don't go too fast. There was a wipe that I had a while ago where I killed all the servitors too fast, and it started damage phase, but I think it was because I killed these servitors too fast that it registered top servitors with that. Now again, this is where our 1 HP servitors from earlier are amazing, and we can just bang them up. Very nice. This is why we grab. Okay. Now we're just going to have to add clear pretty quickly here up top. We're just going to get rid of all of the servitors up top as fast as we possibly can, and then do our few swaps. I'm getting jiggy with it here, as you can see in the camera. There are comms in the full run, if you feel like watching that. Again, nothing special, just add clear. Pretty easy peasy. How do I make this not awkward, you know? Like, what do I say to make this not awkward? I guess maybe I'll take a sip of my drink. Now again here, swap into our loadouts, making sure it's right. Doesn't really matter where these guys are, even if they're in really inconvenient places, because we're probably going to send to final here, even if we do some really unbuffed grapples and stuff. And as you can see, it's the first guy, so it doesn't really matter. Now, here is where I fucked up, because I didn't realize that I was on Aggers, and I was like, oh. And I say something, I'm like, oh shit. And then I swap to Navigator, where I shoot the thing above his head, swap loadouts, and then do the good old grapple kicks and pretty much nuke him in 1 melee, nuke whatever's left on her health in 1 melee, I guess. And then now, because we've killed all the servitors in the encounter, we can do a very cool scanner final, which is going to be very chill. So we dunk our operator, kill scanner, and then we're just going to go hide in the back, you know, to chill out, just to hang out with our wang out. And then here, we swap to Lament. We love Lament. Absolutely banger weapon. And we put on Nighthawk, because it's a free, easy clone. So here, drop Radiant, pull out our Lament, charge it up. 3 light attacks and a heavy attack. Pretty good damage. A third of final in 1 combo blow. And we make sure to keep out our Lament to make sure that we gain some guarding energy, I guess as they call it. And then here, I'm just going to, again, Lament, proc our Radiant, just keep fucking them up. Very nice final, as we see. And the last clone can be shot with Nighthawk. And it's over. Now here, I swap back to our add clear loadout, and then I swap from my Aggers to a Lithium so that I can make some ammo for the transition. You'll see why as well. And later on, I like to use Aggers for the add clear, so having as much special as possible is very nice. And then I swap back to my sidearm to make sure I have heal clip, because there have been some really close calls on these flawless runs. These Vandals do not care whether you live or die, so you gotta be real careful all around them. And then yeah, it's pretty much just a Lithium these guys down. Just nothing special. We're just kind of cranking out as much ammo as we can possibly crank out while, you know, killing these Vandals, you know. I wish I could go to their house and chop up their families, because they are mad annoying. So I would never have to deal with them again. Kill all their Elixir babies and everything, you know? Okay. Nothing crazy. Now, we might be taking a break here. I don't know, because I don't really remember exactly when I took my breaks. I don't think I'd take a break before this transition. And then there's nothing really crazy noteworthy here. We just make sure to pick up all our ammo with our scavengers on. And then here we're going to swap to Navigator and Stompies with the sidearm just in case as an extra healing option. And then, yeah. Here, I just throw it on Navigator point. It's 1 ammo. It doesn't really matter. Gives me a grapple back in case I fall off the map. And yeah, we just swing over. Pretty easy. Nice skip. Really free. Space out our jumps with Stompies. And, yeah. Easy money. No, this transition's nothing special until the ag clear part. Even the ag clear part's basically just grappling enemies and then using aggers to clean up whatever's left. Nothing special. I might even speed up this footage, you know, because it's or maybe I'll slow it down because it's so intriguing. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't do this earlier, because this is, you know, I was a little afraid because I don't know how well I do at commentating, and I'm sure I probably left in quite a bit of me stuttering over myself, but yeah, I don't know. I should probably do it more. I like the idea of commentating. I like the idea of giving people knowledge because it's good to. I like people to know what I'm doing. You know, it's being in the solo community. It's a pretty inclusive, or it's a pretty inclusive club. But sometimes things can get kind of lost and be really confusing. Like there's a lot of minute things that happen in some of these solos that people don't really pick up on because they're not really things that you know to think or look for, right? And I like spreading the gospel, as they say, about solo raids because it's really fun. I like you know, I like to explain things, I guess. Maybe I like the sound of my own voice. Okay, now Descent. Possibly the hardest tech here is the despawn. It is kind of a 50-50 sometimes. It really depends. It's a connection-based thing, and I'll explain what the despawn is in a second. But it's kind of a connection-based thing, kind of a timing thing. Really just depends. I've seen some people have crazy despawn differences. Sometimes I see people walk off as soon as it changes to 6. Sometimes I see people wait until the last frame of 6. Sometimes I see lots of different crazy things. Okay, now while we're AFK, I'll probably end up skipping any of this. We're going to talk about our Descent loadouts. So first things first, let's talk about our abilities and stuff. Grapple is an amazing mobility tool for us in this encounter. And it is, as I mentioned in security, it can overtake some of the animations in this raid, such as depositing pretty much anything. So nuclear cores, depositing your buffs and stuff. Grapple will cancel it if you do it at the right time. Threaded Spike is just super stylish because you're going to get railed, and I mean railed, like Bonnie Blues style 1,000 men level railed in this encounter if you're not invis or have restoration going. It is insane how fast you can see your health go from full HP to 0 HP. These ads are ditty. And then nowadays it doesn't really matter because Transcendence doesn't drop cores, so we used Acrobat's dodge to cancel the animation of Transcendence. But because Bungie patched that recently with the launch of Renegades, we can no longer use Acrobat's dodge. Golden Gun is nice. You could probably use Tether, to be honest, but Golden Gun's really nice, specifically for later on, or for the despawn, because you can shoot the close, so You have two different panels. You have the far to the left and the close one just pretty much right above me. You can shoot those, the panel from far away. But Goldie's always really nice. And then we have RDMs on. This was, again, for Acrobat's dodge. I would recommend Stompies now. Gives you extra movement. And yeah. Here we have Trinity Ghoul, again, to build dodge charges. Doesn't really matter. Still good ad clear weapon. I still highly recommend it. People use Extras now, or people use Extras, like that's the other option. But I just prefer Trinity Ghoul. And then we have Imminence on with Slice, which procs our Stylus Executioner. Since you can slice enemies, again, we were using Acrobat's dodge, but now that doesn't really matter. You can just use Extras. This is just kind of another weapon to just have, I guess. The enhanced athletic mods are very nice. You move faster with the cores when you have more of these mods on, so it's very nice. And then we, after our running phase, after we've dunked our 2 cores, we have our Verglaws to be able to oob out, as you'll see in a moment. And then we just have our choice of heal clip weapon. If you do Extras, I would just use a sidearm with heal clip and whatever. Doesn't really matter. Okay, now that loadouts are out of the way, let's skip to our despawn. So here we're just ad clearing. I guess at the beginning of the encounter it doesn't really matter, but we'll still replay it anyways. Just because it's good to know, good to see. Doesn't really matter. So again, just clearing ads. The faster we clear ads here, the faster we get our augments. Doesn't really matter. I've seen people AFK in the back until the augments spawn. Nothing really changes. You're just kind of waiting here anyways. So as long as you're not too slow, you're chilling. But as soon as augments spawn, we're going to be on the lookout for Operator. As we know, Operator's on the left, or I guess middle. That kind of faked me out like it did the footage. And yeah, so we grab Operator. This is to activate the panels to start our despawn. And we're just going to swap to our Oob loadout, where we're going to take Verglaws. And now we're going to line our middle crosshair up somewhere around this area, because you can slide out somewhere around here in this kind of block, as you'll see. And I mess up the jump. That's not embarrassing at all. And as you see, we just breach outside of the map. Now we jump onto this left platform because we need to activate one of the dunks. Now, the way that despawning works is very interesting, because what's going to happen is I'm going to cap to 30 FPS because it makes the despawn a little bit easier for me, a little bit more consistent. And then I'm going to shoot a panel, which is going to spawn 2 nuclear cores. And once I see these nuclear cores, I'm going to wait till about 6. I'm going to wait like half a second once I see 6, and then I'm going to walk off. I'm going to hit adjoining allies, and then I'm going to come back in the map, and the 2 nuclear cores are going to despawn, thus despawn. And then the game is going to remember that I have 2 nuclear cores in the map always. So it's going to say, okay, it always, no matter what, I always have 2 cores going. And then when 2 more cores spawn, the game's like, hey, you have 4 cores spawning in. We need to activate all the dunks, which allows us to dunk in any spot. There are other versions. Now, I guess it's gone. There was a no despawn version where you had to dunk check, which I will talk about later on. You had to dunk check each different bin, which was a pain in the ass to do. But yeah, so capped at 30 FPS. This is possible on higher FPS. I've seen people do it on 90 FPS and higher. It's just a lot different. Here I get to the edge of the platform. Just helps me walk off a little bit faster with my specific timing. And now it's just a game of waiting. You'll probably see me take my hands off the keyboard and just wait around, you know. Now this is good RNG because we're primed in a perfect position, and we're just going to shoot this panel. If I have another clip of it, maybe I'll show the underside or the different options. But if it's the far one, so it's this one over here, you can press yourself against this wall and use your golden gun to shoot the panel. You just have to jump, and then once you see the panel, you shoot it, and you'll probably have to hit it twice with a golden gun. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I found it relatively inconsistent. But what I decided to do, me personally, is go under here. So I drop off the platform and I eager edge towards these set of stairs here. You walk into the leftmost corner and just crouch and hold W so that you can shoot the panel above you. And then I walk a little bit so that I have my left foot off the bottom stair, and then I just follow the same timing here at about 6.5 seconds. I just walk off the edge. I just hold A, and usually it despawns the course. So here, now we just look, we wait for 6.5 seconds, and then we walk off. I wait for literally half a second, and then I walk off. And now it's again just a waiting game of, do I despawn? And if you don't hear a core, you don't die, you're chilling. So as you can see, like magic, like a magician, I make those cores disappear. Now we are in an infinite round. This round will not end forever. You could stay in here until the Destiny 2 servers go down if you really wanted to. I don't know why you would. It would be a little weird, to be completely honest. I'd probably call you a freak because you'd be farming DSC hours. But yeah, you could stay in this instance for pretty much however long you want. I guess actually, once the servers go down, or if the servers ever go down for updates and stuff, you'd probably be kicked out. But yeah. And the way we get out of it is suppressing. So let me break down the strategy of descent, right? And we'll use our trusty paint. So essentially, an augment can spawn in one of 3 areas, right? It can spawn either left, middle, or right. We want to have scanner occupying middle, because we want our operator to spawn on either side. The reason for this is that we have to shoot a panel on one of the sides, right? So we have to shoot one of these panels to despawn one of the cores. Otherwise, if we get 3 cores, even if you manage to somehow save it, the game would break because it would be like, how do you have 5 cores in the instance? Like I said, like I mentioned earlier, we have 2 cores always. So the game would freak out, and eventually you would soft lock because the game would just panic. Because it doesn't really make sense. So we want op in one of these positions because we need to shoot one of these panels. And for example, let's just say that we actually had operator in middle and scan on one of these sides. We would have to suppress left, we'd have to suppress right, and then we'd suppress middle and dunk our augment. Then as soon as we dunk our augment, we have about a 7 to 11 second timer, like the store. And we need to pick up operator in this time and shoot one of the panels on the side, which could be pretty tricky. It's still savable if you do manage to do it, but it's just a lot more risky, especially on a flawless run. You don't really want to do it. You just want to make sure that you always have your scan in middle. It makes things much more simple. I cut out a part that said that while we are in an infinite round, I wanted to take time out of the run to make sure that I have scanner in middle for the previous explanation, because my brain quit working, so I forgot to include this part in the actual recording by just leaving scanner in middle, and then op can either go left or right, because then you suppress in that order. So if op is in left, then you suppress from left to, or from right to left, sorry. Pretty simple. So again, just act clear, just waiting for the augments to respawn, hoping that scanner spawns middle, and maybe we'll kind of skip this part. Looks like we got our RNG, which is nice. And then once we figure out our RNG, I guess I must have got it pretty quick, actually. Must have been like right away. Once that happens, I kill my suppressor vandal. Or I guess I must have already killed my suppressor vandal. Oh, I have already suppressed, I guess. But I get my RNG pretty quick. And then, so this would be a good example of scanner, or of operator in middle. This is exactly how you would scan, and it'd be, or suppress, and it would be really awkward. But now I dunk my thing in to avoid getting deactivated. If you for some reason did get deactivated, you could always just oob. It doesn't break the encounter. And if you picked up the wrong augment during an infinite round, you could always just oob. But that should never happen unless you noob like me. I did do that one time by accident, but it's fine. It's chill. Now just kind of waiting game, waiting for Taniks to be done. And yeah, we're just stroking it really and truly. It's another section of Mr. Moth doesn't know what to say. So the weather, am I right, guys? Okay. Now here, I guess the only important thing to note is that we weaken up Operator so that he's one-shot. This doesn't really matter with Extras, but we make him one-shot with Trinity just so that we can just hit fire it at him whenever we want. And it doesn't... Now, after, like, the 7-second period is over, after you've suppressed, then you can pick up your augment. But I waited here until the second round of ads spawned after the suppress. Okay, so now we're waiting for the suppress to activate. We're just waiting for him to turn blue. Taniks loves turning blue. He likes going hypothermic. Must have the AC cranking in the DSC, in the Deep Stone Crypt. And yeah, now we're just going to suppress Taniks. I like to jump on L2 here because this doesn't make him stop, so it makes it really easy to line up an angle. And then as soon as we hit this final suppress, we have to book it to the shower and dunk our augment right away. Because now, as soon as that final suppress is over, it starts a 7-second timer, or 7 to 11-second timer. Between getting deactivated. So here we pick up Operator and shoot the furthest panel away, which happens to be the left, and then now we dunk. So this is pretty much what rounds are going to look like now because we don't have dunking, except minus this next part. You probably throw a melee here to go invis, and then you bring it all the way to middle rather than core dropping, because again you can't do it. And you would use your melee to go invis, or X-Driss, or whatever, because the X-Driss Moth blinds, and killing an enemy with that gives you stylish. And once we dunk our cores, we can... one thing I didn't think to show here, actually, was the really cool grapple tech that is very awesome. As you can see, it even takes over the animation. So as you'll see, I press my grapple, and boom. See how fast that core dunk is? It's fucking crazy. The only other thing to mention here as well that I conveniently forgot is sometimes you get instant deactivated here, so you can just pick up Operator and you'll just get deactivated for no particular reason. It's very rare, but it does happen. Usually it's because you're just too slow. And then we can skip ahead to our oob, where again we just do the same thing. We get a Verglas kill. If we're weak, we can get we can get a healing clip or a heal clip, and a heal clip thing. And this is not embarrassing at all. Let's mess that up. And we just fall straight down, hit our joining allies. And swap back to our other loadout with Trinity on it. And we got to rebuild our RDM stacks and find out where Operator is. So I always look right because I'm a noob. But left is better because it's more visible. And we weaken up our op. If you're particularly slow here, you have a hard time getting out of the oob or getting into the oob, then I would suggest not weakening him and just going straight to the suppress thing because this round is pretty fast. And if you don't know, Descent has long and short rounds. So the even rounds are really long. They're, I don't know, let's just say 30 seconds. And short rounds would be around 10 seconds, for example, between you getting back into the map and whatever. They're not that tight, but just as an example, just for a reference. Here, you know, we just suppress, again, same thing. This is basically just going to be 6 rounds of the same thing with differing RNG. Operator's trying to get away from me here. said, come here, boy, like Prime Daquan. This is also illegal RNG because it's really easy. And again, just grapple dunk the core. And then here, we're just going to proc stylish to be able to dunk our core. This guy rolls off like a good boy, and we just dunk it, catch it midair. Yeah. Catch that shit midair like a crazy dunk, you know, like you see those people like lining up for dunks. Where they like jump in the air and grab it from their buddy and then dunk it. Surely I'll put something up on screen so the reference makes sense. One thing I forgot to mention while recording this is that we oob in Descent because we need to get rid of our radiation stacks and our previously deactivated augments. So as soon as we suppress, you know, we get that 7-second timer, and then we use our operator to shoot one of the cores so that we only have 2, and then we get deactivated, so we have to get rid of our deactivated augment. And since suppressor is already in the fridge, we have to get rid of our augment somehow, and that's through the oob. Now again, we just oob out. This is a long phase, so now we can just have a good time. We can chill. We just want to make sure that we're aware of our scanner, or of our of where our scanner is in the middle, so we don't nuke him with Trinity by accident. We just get that guy weak. And now, because our operator's on the left side, we can just chill on the right side. Sometimes if he's on the right side, like down here, and you have to stand over here, these captains will run up to you, and it gets really fucking annoying because you don't want to burn through all your sword ammo killing them. But at the same time, they're really annoying, so you don't want them meleeing you. And in a few cases, I've even eager tracked them going to the middle node, so they have ruined runs before. So they're really annoying, which is why I wait somewhere around where operator is right now. I'm just kind of hanging around until suppress happens. Yeah, so it's a pretty chill, pretty just hanging out, just having a good time. A pretty stressful section, but to be honest, it's not that bad once you've done it a few times. Those wretches tried to be ops and stop me from hitting my operator panel, but nothing stops me. Ever. And hey dude, you're not supposed to be up there. I landed on the thing, but we're fine. We're chilling. Wasn't even close. And then here, just because I have the time, I can walk my core all the way here, and then, yeah, just grab cancel, get out of the map. Pretty simple. Nothing is going to be new. Even Chaos Ice Phoenix knew I wasn't supposed to be on that thing. It's illegal. Too fat. I could have broken it. Should have paid more attention. Yeah, and this is pretty much just 3 more rounds of this. It's a really fun solo once you do it once or twice. I guess maybe now it's a little bit less fun because they did patch core dropping. It'll be definitely harder in comparison to this. But again, once you go to pick up that second core, you just simply shoot your extras, melee, whatever, proc stylish. If you're on another class, you'll proc some form of healing. If you're on Warlock, you'll do Karnsteins or something, you know. Something to heal you while you dunk the cores. Doesn't really matter. Or at least you go into health. Go into dunking the core for health. Yeah, shoot the farthest panel. GG, listed RNG. It is over for me. I need to retire. I can only clear with PG RNG. Yeah, man, I'm a loser, as they say. And the only, I guess one thing actually here is be careful with tangles. I have wiped before to picking up a tangle over a nuclear core, because the game thought for some reason that a tangle is more important than a literal nuclear fucking core. So that's sick. Surely that fail will be in how the flawless run ended one of these days, but we'll see. Now that the world is orange, it's you know, it's a different world we're living in, I guess. I don't really know. I can't think of a funny joke. Again, this is a long round. We got pretty lucky. We didn't get diddied by those captains, so just kind of hanging around, just doing nothing, just fucking about for the next 30 seconds or so. Probably a little bit less. and yeah, man, nothing crazy. It's I guess while I have this time, you know, it's crazy some of the things that people have been able to craft, and I have to be honest, like I have not helped in any way to crafting any of these strats. It is really crazy that people have found ways to do these encounters, that they found a way to that they found a way that to consistently despawn, or that despawning even actually does anything in general, because that is something I would have never thought. Like I never would have thought that despawning 2 nuclear cores activates all the dunks at all times, or you know, whatever. It's just, or I shouldn't say it activates at all times. It activates when you have 2 other cores. I'm getting drunk, apparently. Very hyped. And yeah, it's really interesting. So shout out to all the people. Like I can't even like give props to who done it, or to who crafted everything. But yeah, insane to all the people who have done all the work to make these solos possible. Because really and truly, I don't have the talent to make things like this possible. And it's so cool to see things like this be strung together. It's just too bad that now they're gone. You know, that Bungie has deleted them. Okay, last rounds. This is just don't burger, don't die, be happy. I think I almost do some like burger shit here on almost wipe. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it was pretty scary. Or maybe that was the run before. Might have been the run before. Yeah, this was clean. This was very clean. Now the nerves set in. Oh man, do I miss that piece of lore behind Taniks? Oh, I think I do. It's actually, just let you know. Taking no chances, not Silumir styling descent. If you don't know, there was a solo player a long time ago, way back when Descent was first possible, who died in this tunnel because he died to physics from his eager edge. Good Goldie shots, that means we're clear. But yeah, we don't want to physics ourselves, get 1 HP, and then die to something dumb. And as you see me opening, I opened 2 macros to make this significantly easier for myself. And Taniks is a lot of explanation, so buckle in. The first one is a macro to swap loadouts fast enough, or I shouldn't say fast enough, because you can do it without a macro, but it swaps loadouts really quick between 2 really distinctly different loadouts, and that lags the game enough so that you can pop your Transcendence and it doesn't really do anything. It just does the animation. It drops the cores, but it doesn't actually pop for some weird reason. Which is pretty interesting. And then the second one opens up a timer on the top right, which starts our Taniks cycle, which is really interesting because as even you know, all the speedrunners in the world don't even know about this tech. This is probably some knowledge that very few people have. Essentially, Taniks goes in phases, as we'll see in a second. And it starts when he goes up and his cores glow orange, and he'll make a noise and whatever. And during the running phase, because we take so long getting our cores, if you don't hit the last suppress node, you have infinite time. If you really wanted to, for whatever reason, you could stand here for hours juggling cores. Again, Taniks is impossible now because Transcendence doesn't drop cores. But before, you could if you really wanted to. Essentially, if you suppress during the last 10 seconds of his cycle, Taniks will wipe you because he softlocks. So the reset, I guess, condition for that would be when Taniks goes up in the air and his cores glow and he makes a noise. Or he locks straight forward into the middle and he jumps up in the air. Again, many people don't know about this because you're not core dropping enough, or you're not core dropping in like a 6-man, or you're not waiting that long to suppress because everyone's going to be dead to radiation or whatever reason. And yeah, so very few people know about that. But let's talk about Taniks loadouts. So first things first, we have Mint Retrograde. This is probably like the craziest weapon of all time. It is insane. We're going to use this for a few different reasons. One is to kill the captains while we're running, because the captains just get fucking crazy annoying. If you have ever ran Taniks, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. These are the most annoying pieces of shit of all time. There is no enemy that compares to captains in Taniks. And then to build charges for our RDMs, we use our Graviton Lance. As you can see, I put quite a few kills on this thing just doing Taniks alone. And then an Egret Sword for mobility, as you'll see why later. And then our fragments, we use Courage for the extra damage during damage, Dawn for radiant protection, just so that we don't die. I think this is used for a little bit of extra, just a little bit of extra, like pushing, plus the weapons is really nice. And then Purpose is always good because you get restoration for picking up orbs. And then we use Golden Gun here for insane damage during DPS, as you'll see. Goldie's always good. There's no other real damage options here because you wouldn't use Tether. Silence the Skull does nothing, and Silk Strike is just a throw. And obviously, if you're using Storm's Edge for damage, you're probably doing something wrong. Melee doesn't matter because we're going to be swapping between these two loadouts, and we're going to lose our melee, but I use Combination Blow in case for some reason I don't have an Acrobat's Dodge. And as I mentioned in Descent, we use Acrobat's Dodge to cancel our Transcendence animation, and we use Grapple for our mobility. Threat Inspector here is nice for extra just distraction because, you know, you get touched pretty quick here in this encounter. The only thing really to note here is the Enhanced Athletics. We want probably mostly special ammo. You get a little bit of heavy ammo, which is nice. You want to make sure you have full sword going into damage because you're going to be using rockets and stuff. And then Siphons, obviously, just to make orbs and whatnot. And then our stats are going to be primarily high class, which is going to keep us alive with that overshield, and then a little bit of weapons. Now, the swap loadout here, as you'll see, is very different than our normal loadout. Usually, you don't have to do all this much. It really depended on what your connection was like. Almost entirely. I've seen some people who have really poor connections basically just swap like 2 mods and then they'll be fine. But I've seen people who just reorganize their mods in a certain way and then they use different shaders and different drip or whatever to do that, and then they only need to swap between one loadout because it's not that different. But the big thing is having Combination Blow, or having a different melee here, or having a different ability. I think when this was still possible in Warlock, they were using Phoenix Dive instead of melees, because your melee is very nice, actually. Okay, and then we have our delays. Our delays here are Olithanum. We need to delay Taniks to take time off of our augment, because you aren't able to swap. So in 6-man Taniks, you would another player would come pick up the augment that gets deactivated. But in solo, we obviously don't have that luxury, and to avoid getting detained during the running phase, we need to have suppressor. So we have to have it back pretty quick, and obviously to do the mechanics later on. So we use a Lithanum because for some reason when you stick Taniks with it, he really enjoys mimicking your movements. depending on the way that you're standing. So like each delay is a little bit different. I'm not going to go too into how to delay Taniks because it isn't really purposeful now. But really and truly, it was just you stick them with it in a specific kind of situation or in a specific kind of area, like standing in a spot and strafing, and it would delay him. Which is pretty cool. On the other end of it, you could use Verglas to block him off, which was really cool back in the day. If you want to see some different delays, you can go to my YouTube and watch the. You can watch my first solo Taniks from about a year ago, and you'll see the different delays that I do with Verglas, which is very cool. But in this version, we don't have as many ads as possible, or we don't have as many ads now as we did before, because we only needed to get one kill to continue proccing our stuff, or to continue proccing our dodges. But that's a different solo for a different time. We do use Verglas here sometimes to block orange because it is only one crystal, which is really, really nice, especially during a flawless run. It takes a lot of stress off you having to delay with the lithium, and from spawn to orange is a pretty short distance, so it's really, really nice. And then nothing really special here loadout wise. Again, we just have enhanced athletics, and we have some stasis loaders so that we can reload our lithium a little bit faster. And we have our heel clip sidearm, which is, whatever. And then we have our Taniks pre-damage phase. So this would be, as soon as we dunk our second core, we're going to swap to this loadout, and then it has tractor on it because we're going to tractor, which is going to give us our 30-second debuff, and then we are going to extend it with melee, or with weakening things, because if you don't know, for example, a 30% debuff can be constantly rebuffed by applying weaken. So if you just keep applying weaken to a boss, and you had hit it with a tractor a minute ago, and for that whole minute you just kept applying weaken every 6 or 7 seconds, applying weaken will keep that 30% debuff up at all times, which is why we use Snare Bomb here. This also gives us Radiant, and the reason why we don't swap off Acrobat's Dodge here, because you would think, like, why don't you use like Marksman's Dodge, or why don't you use something else? But Acrobat's Dodge here gives us long Radiant, as they call it in quotation marks, which gives us 10 seconds, and every time we refresh with a Snare Bomb, it gives us 10 seconds, compared to our 5 seconds with Facet of Dawn, with our regular Snare Bomb, which is really cool. But when we're in damage, I'll point that out. And then on this loadout, we have Celestial Nighthawk, which we pop our Nighthawk on, and then we swap to our Taniks DPS loadout, where we have our rocket launcher with elemental honing. You probably need, if this was still possible, you probably need auto loading in the slot. And then we have Pseudarachne for just extra survival, because damage phases can be pretty difficult to survive in sometimes. But we'll talk about a method to survive that a little bit easier later on. And then obviously Mint Retrograde with our good old rewind honing just absolutely obliterates. We love this thing. It does more damage than half the heavy weapons in the game, which is crazy. And only thing that is important to note here is just to have super high weapons, because like this loadout doesn't particularly matter, because if you pop your Nighthawk, for example, on 70 super, it only matters the amount of super that you have on when you shoot your Nighthawk, if that makes sense. So here, for example, if I had 50 super, I would only deal, for example, 10k damage. But if I popped it on this with 50 super and then swapped to this with 145, it would give me much better damage for some reason, because Bungie for some reason doesn't patch that, or hasn't fixed that. But yeah, so we're going to pop our Nighthawk, swap to this. We'll have pseudo-arachnine for the damage phase, which is really nice. Really good for survivability. And then we'll talk about the damage phase a little bit, or we'll talk about the rotation a little bit later. And then the last thing we have here is just a Knucklehead swap for Final Stand. It's virtually just the same thing as this, except we took off pseudo-arachnine for Knucklehead. And yeah. And then I guess I forgot to mention the Duskfield Grenade is just for extra Dark Transcendence energy and to, yeah, pretty much just extra Dark Transcendence energy. Okay, now to start here, we need to pick up our Suppressor Operator, or Suppressor Augment. As I've mentioned, not having the Suppress Augment, you can get detained, but with Suppress, you will never ever get detained, which is really cool. And interesting that they didn't do that, because if you got detained, the solo would never be possible. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. So here, just ad clearing, just making sure shit's dead, getting up some RDM stacks and whatnot, and then getting whatever ammo we possibly can, which is why I need blue side here. I just kill all the ads to get some ammo, because I know they'll respawn in a second anyways. And now we're just kind of waiting for indecisive Taniks to make up his mind on where to go. It's like, should I go spawn? Should I go blue? Should I go spawn? Should I go blue? I'm not really sure. I don't know. I'm going spawn. Okay, here we go. And then here, I'm going to use my golden gun to break down the first two cores. And we're going to start our timer up in the top right as soon as I break down the second core. And now I'm going to take this first core and grab it, dodge reset it, so that it starts again with a 10-second timer. And we're going to go over to the other core, and I'm going to just load out, swap real quick with the macro, and start our first two suppresses. Now, we're not going to complete the third one, because as I mentioned, you have infinite time here to complete to do the final suppress. So we're just going to move the cores into a more favorable position for us, so that we don't really have to have any like crazy RNG to actually clear. And I just progressively am going to move my cores along using a mix of dodges and the macro loadout, just depending on when I have dodges. The only important thing here is just that we don't want to go under 0 dodges. So we want to make sure we have at least 1 dodge charged at all time, because having less than 1 takes more kills to get than a dodge after having 1, if that makes sense. So if I have a dodge charge, it takes 3 kills to get a second dodge, but it takes like 4 or 5 kills to get the first dodge. So here we're just simply moving our cores along into this little, I guess, hallway, as you call it. You know, whatever you'd really want to say. Just making sure we get our dodges up and whatever. And now one of the big things is that people say they don't understand is, why do we wait in the tunnel so long? And we have a few reasons for that. One is we want to make sure we have all 3 of our dodges ready to go. And then we need to make sure that we're in the right suppress cycle. So as you can see, my timer is at 13 seconds. And the timer goes from 0 to 40. I think it's 0 to 40. It goes from 0 to 40. And any time between 0 and 29 seconds is safe. So you're good to suppress any time between 0 and 29 seconds. 29 seconds would be cutting it close. But yeah. And then any time between 29... sorry, this is pretty bad. And then anytime between 29 and 30, or 39, I should say, is a soft lock. Now, I don't know if I have a clip of it, but essentially what Taniks is going to do, if you soft lock, he's just going to infinitely stomp you, and he's going to be a bitch. And then if you do make it to damage somehow, he'll spawn the trash shit around the map, but it won't actually start damage. It won't give you the buff to start damage. And then one other thing to note here is between at the 10-second mark, ad spawn. So a new wave of ads spawns at 10 seconds. Is ads. Or if you don't know what ads means, enemies. Any trash enemies. So now I'm just waiting around, just kind of hanging out, just killing stuff, making sure I have my dodges back. And we're just juggling. We're just going to be juggling our cores for a minute, just making sure we don't die. That's really it. Nothing crazy, nothing special. I personally like to go at around 6 seconds, so I'm going to hold here. I'm just going to keep doing my stuff, just going to keep swapping stuff. And then I don't know if I do 1 or 2 more. I probably say it in the footage, but I think here I'm going to swap, and then I'm going to do a dodge on this guy, just to reset this core as fast as possible. And then I'm going to grapple to the final suppress so that I can get that instant height and the movement. And then I'm going to suppress the final node, come back to this core, and I'm going to pick this up real quick and just do another real quick check. And then I'm going to take this core and I'm going to run it out here and do a quick loadout drop so I don't waste the dodge. The reason why I do this is so that I move the core ever so slightly to 5 and 6. And then I look for some kills, make sure I have full dodges here, and then I'm going to do my first dunk check. Dunk checking is when we allow the circle, the interact bar to fully go, and we're going to just again reset with our transcendence so that it drops the core on the ground, but it doesn't lock us in the animation of doing the dunk, so we don't actually get harmed by this. So it's not like frame perfect dunks or whatever. It's not like frame perfect or anything, but you drop the core at the right time. And as you see, I'm popping my transcendence, and we're gonna see that this deposited, as we can see by the sparks flying and all that coolness. And then we're going to grab our next core and just dunk. I think I get plot armor here. Nope, never mind. Messed up a dunk check. As you can see, nothing happened to the bin. We get plot armor, and it's 3-4, which is very nice. 1 in 6 chance of happening, by the way. And we swap to our delay loadout. Again, I'm not going to explain too heavily like how this exactly works, because there's different locations you want to stand. I'm not really sure how to do it, to be completely honest, from each space or from each spot. But here I just am standing somewhere in the middle, shooting Taniks a bunch of times, and as you can see, whenever I strafe left, he strafes left with me, and he does a long strafe too. So it just keeps, he just keeps strafing with me. It's really nice, really delayed. As you can see, our augment lockout is ticking down. Once it's at about 20 seconds, we're good to go. And as you watched, I'm having a freak out because I'm really nervous at this point. And then we swap back to our first loadout just for our running, and we get some kills to pick up some extra dodge charges, so we're chilling. And then we use our Goldie to break down these things. Again, we reset our timer and start it up again as soon as that happens, and we pick up our thing. And we just move our cores in a more favorable position. We do our first check, or we do our first thing. Now you may be asking me, or now you may be wondering, which one do we do next? And it's going to be this side right here. The reason why we do this one and not the middle one is because we're going to set up our cores around where that operator is. And getting through the tunnel is a pain in the ass to kind of do, because you'd have to move pretty efficiently through the tunnel, get to the suppress, jump over this thing, and then get back to your cores in time, which is really hard to do, compared to just jumping out in the open and getting to that middle thing. So yeah, that's all just about moving our cores, just main leapfrog, making sure we suppress Taniks. We suppress Taniks, hit them on the both things. There has been a wipe, because I haven't suppressed Taniks correctly one time. Not in a flawless run, but a long time ago. And yeah, so just moving our cores, that's it. Super simple. Nothing crazy. And the way I like to move my cores is just kind of put them in between these two pillars, somewhere around the 1 and 2 dunks. And I guess while we're juggling here, some people may ask, or I guess before I say anything too crazy, the reason why we're gonna sit here for so long is building super. I even say it in the video is that I need to build a super. So we're just sitting here, just waiting for ads to spawn and whatnot, just letting our cycles go around, just killing ads, farming ammo, whatever. But some people also ask, why is 5.6 not possible? So if the dunks are 5.6, why is it not possible? I think I even mentioned it in the video. But 5.6s are really hard to do. So this version of 5.6 is possible, but it's incredibly difficult because it's a really tough movement challenge. And the reason why is because you have to move 2 cores across the map really efficiently, which is really difficult. And the reason why it's really tight is because Taniks starts as soon as you do your final suppress. Oh, we're going here. As soon as you do your final suppress, Taniks gives you a 60-second timer to dunk your cores. Again, not many people know this because how often are you taking longer than 60 seconds to dunk your core? Or to dunk your final core? But that 60 seconds is insanely tight to get on a solo run because you have to move your cores such a long distance. So while Taniks is at blue, it is possible, like it's possible to make it. I've done it once, but I died to radiation as I got the final one in, just because I'm a bit of a noob. But when Taniks is at spawn and it's a 5.6 at 3 and 4, it's basically impossible. No one I think has ever hit it, or has ever hit a 5.6 from spawn when Taniks is at spawn. And I guess no one ever will, sadly. Hopefully Bungie gives us the core dropping again, because again, this solo is really cool. So here, same thing, reset the first one, and I don't need to move my cores further, which is really nice here. So I just immediately pick this core up and dunk check with it, and as you can see, this is wrong. So it's going to keep the core on the ground, and it turned red, which means that the dunk's wrong. So I don't need to check it again. And then here, I think I probably should have just deposited here, but it didn't really matter. So now I just take my second core. I'm just going to take it wherever, just take it to wherever I want to go. This is also some really cool tech. The grapple. I shouldn't say take it where I want to go. We're just going to take this core to either 5 or 6. Doesn't really matter. It's a 50-50 chance. I think I end up being right. And then a really cool piece of tech here. If you kind of shoot your grapple out horizontally, and then you look and pick up your core, you can jump and get some really nice momentum, which is really good. I did it in a weird, awkward spot, so I didn't get the full potential. I've seen some crazy jumps. So now we've dunked our second core, and we're just gonna jump back into middle here. Now, once Taniks spawns in the middle, we start an 8-second countdown. If you watch the video, I'll be counting down from 8, and then at 8 seconds, I tractor him, because then damage starts just a few seconds later. So I run back, I tractor him, I hit my Radiant dodge for long Radiant, and then I'm going to pop Transcendence, and then pop my Goldie, and then I'm going to swap loadouts to my rocket loadout, and then I'm just going to run in the circle, hit him with a melee to extend the tractor, extend my Radiant, and a grenade for extra damage, and I'm going to hit him with a crit, and then I shoot my scout rifle at him for the arc damage for honing, and I just dump 5 mints into him before I throw another melee nade combo. And then as soon as I finish up a melee nade combo, because if you don't know, throwing a melee and then a grenade cancels the grenade cancels your melee animation, making it a little bit faster. And then I just shoot a rocket for that extra damage. And if you were paying attention, this golden gun chunked. If you don't know what a golden gun chunk is, sometimes golden guns do a ridiculous amount of damage on the health bar. As you can see, that is a fucking insane amount. Hopefully, I will put a comparison, it should be around here, realistically, is what my golden gun should have actually done. So I basically doubled my damage off of one goldie, which was really cool. It's always good to see that. Melee nade combo, rocket, shoot another 4 shots off till he goes immune. And then I hit him up with my last grenade, but I missed because he goes up. And then I walk forward and jump, and Taniks doesn't actually boot me out, but I did a little too early and almost got knocked out. And then I wait till about 3 seconds left, and I throw my melee nade combo again, followed up by a rocket. But this time I didn't, so I just had to do it another time. And then I swap back to my original loadout for Celestial, where again, bang, nice big chunk. I don't think I actually hit like a full chunk. And then if you noticed, we didn't deposit our augment for the damage phase, so we got to deposit it now. Taniks gives us enough time here to clear ads and whatever, and wait for our augment to come down. So here, we're just building Transcendence. I'm going to use my dodges here as a way to gain dark energy instead of spamming mint. And I'm just going to use Graviton as a way to get my light energy instead of spamming my sword or meleeing a bunch of enemies or whatever nonsense you can think of. This is also a good point because we're also grabbing armor charges for our next damage phase. Unfortunately, Bungie also nuked this feature, so if you have armor charge that doesn't decay and you pick up armor charge that does decay, it gets rid of your armor charge. So, and you change to mods that do decay. Sorry, it nukes your armor charge, which is really lame. Now again we pick up our suppressor, and we're just gonna go back, and now because we don't have a goldie, we didn't build up another one. We have to shoot with our mint, which is just gonna be 2 shots into each side, or sometimes it's 3 into whatever, depending on your mint shots. And again, just same thing here, where we just put our cores in specifics, or we just bring our cores around and just reset them to make sure the time's down, do our first 2 suppresses. I've seen people do 1 here. It's just being safe. It's just playing safe if you do 1. It's just smart. I have wiped before because I got a little too greedy and did 2. So yeah. And yeah, just same process. We're just moving our cores just to where we need to. I gained a radiation there, which kind of sucks, but I was greedy. And the only reason why you don't want to gain radiation is just because sometimes you get bad dunks. So, for example, if here I got 3 and 6, I'm going to gain a lot more radiation. And I could potentially die. I could potentially die to those, to the radiation. So I want to keep my radiation stacks as low as possible, which is also why the dunk check's really nice, or the drop is really nice to avoid the radiation. And yeah, so we're just kind of waiting around. Nothing crazy. We're just again waiting for the perfect set of circumstances to come upon us, and we're just hanging out. Nothing crazy. I guess one thing I actually did forget to mention is after you suppress, I forgot to say, Taniks, or I said it earlier, Taniks starts a 60-second timer, but what I forgot to say is that the moment you dunk a core, Taniks takes 10 seconds off your timer. For who knows what reason. Which is also why 5-6 is really hard to make, because that 10 seconds, if you dunked it 11 seconds, for example, brings you down to 1 second, and then you just wipe. It's just so hard to make a 5-6. It's impossible. So essentially, if I seen that both these checks were wrong, it's just a wipe. I came pretty close one time to making it, but I just wasn't close enough. It's just so hard. You need, like, I needed like an extra 10 seconds of time save I need an extra like 5 or 10 seconds of time save in 60 seconds, which is pretty hard to do. Okay, so here, probably think I'm gonna go. I'm getting pretty fucked up. It is important to note here that I don't get these kills. The reason why is because I don't want to chain kill all my ads and then get dodges at a kind of inopportune time. I don't want to be have max dodges and kill all my ads, if that kind of makes sense. So that one was wrong. It's very hard to see, you know. Hopefully I slow motion that down. It's very hard to see that that one was wrong. Even in the footage, I go, I don't know if that was right. And then I just move my core along, and that's it. You know, I get my dodge. I get an extra dodge here, so I don't die to radiation. As you can see, I'm at 7, and I check. It's wrong, and I have to bring it over to 6. And I do another dodge to make sure I don't gain another radiation so I don't die, and then deposit my core just in the nick of time. I deposit my augment, and again, we're going to delay. The one sad thing is here, I don't get orange. And the reason why you may be asking me is, you know, why is orange important? Because in the footage, I am like, please go orange, please go orange. Orange is essentially no more RNG. If you go orange, you can always make a 1-2 dunk. You can always make a 3-4 dunk. You can make a 3-1 dunk. You can make a 3-2 dunk. You can make a 4-1 dunk. You can make a 4-2 dunk. It doesn't really matter. Assuming you don't mess up too many of your dunk checks, you're always fine. So orange is essentially no RNG. If he went orange, I probably would have been a little bit more nervous, but it's okay. It doesn't really matter. He went blue, and now I was kind of on the edge. I'm like, you know, there's a chance that he gives me a 5-6. And one of the strategies that we also use here is to wait as long as we possibly can with those core, or with those things, so that we can potentially get our radiation down. But because I had 9, I just had no time to get my radiation down, and I don't think I really paid attention to my radiation. And yeah, I'm at 4, which is pretty cooked. Because again, if I had a 5-6, it would basically be over. So making it to 5-6 would basically be impossible. And probably it might even be really hard if I had a 3-6 or a 3-5 or sorry, what am I saying? A 1-6, a 1-5, or 2-6 or whatever. It would have been really hard to make. But spoilers, I get good RNG here, and I don't have to worry about that. So again, same thing. We're just simply moving our cores, waiting for our super, making some ammo. You don't want to fail final stand because you ran out of ammo. Which made me kind of laugh. And yeah, so one of the things that I say here is please be 1-2. I hope 1-2 is the thing, or I hope I get 1-2, because it's literally unchungisable. It is literally you can't mess it up. Even if you failed a billion dunk checks, you know, you'd probably get fed up and be like, well, whatever, I have to dunk now. You'd still be. Another thing I do want to point out as well, back here when I was shooting my min shots, I shot a couple min shots because K3 reminded me, if you interact at the same time as picking up something, so you pick up ammo or a armor charge, or I should say an orb, it'll cancel your interact, which is really detrimental with your macro, because you can't stop the macro, and the core timer is constantly ticking down. So it kind of like will wipe you, and ammo can do this. So I made sure to get rid of my ammo, or made sure to get rid of any potential ammo or orbs that could cancel this. And the reason, or sorry, I forgot to also say, the reason why it's so detrimental when you do the macro is because you have a very short window between doing the macro and gaining a radiation, because it takes so long to get into your inventory or to get into your inventory, swap your loadouts, get out of your inventory, and then pop your Transcendence. So yeah, it's very hard. It's very difficult, very what's called to save from that. You can, but it's like I said, very difficult. Okay, yeah, now we're just still waiting around, just hanging out, just doing some craziness. And now we're going, I guess. Here, just make sure I have armor charges. I'm not gonna have to look at 3, or I'm not gonna have to look at blue. Usually, here I look for some more armor charges to make sure it's filled. That's right. Very happy about that. I just about came into my pants, and then when I checked this one, it was right. I start screaming, "Oh my god! Oh my god!" I'm really happy because it's going on. I start shaking really bad. And then, yeah, swap to my loadout. Also, one thing I forgot to mention. We kill Operator. The later you kill Operator, or like, I guess the closer to damage you kill Operator, the better it is for you. Because adds spawn in damage when you, or when the Operator respawns. So if you wait to kill Operator as long as you possibly can, ads will spawn later, which means you have less of a chance of dying, which is really good. So here, again, wait till 8 seconds, Tractor, hit our Radiant Dodge for our Long Radiant, hit our Transcendence, and then pop our Super, and then swap to our other loadout, where we then throw our Maiden Melee combo, and hit our Goldie, which might have choked. No, I don't think it choked. And we hit our 5 rotation, and then our rocket. We just keep going, and then I do the Aura Mint Push, where I don't even use my last thing, or where I don't even use my last Goldie. And then I swap immediately to Golden Gun in final, just to get it off right away while I have Tractor. Didn't hit it with Tractor or Radiant, which kind of sucked. And then I swapped to my Knucklehead, which is bonus damage to enemies that are low HP. And I collect ammo. And here is the scariest point of all time. I thought I had Tractor, but I really had a rocket. And I shot myself in the face with a rocket, but didn't die. Somehow. And then I... Kobe... oh my god. A melee to weaken, which hits him right on the head, and that was the moment I knew it was going to clear. And we just mint him to death. That's it. Nothing crazy. Nothing special. He's basically 1 HP, 1 min shot from death. And yeah. And my mic cuts out for the first half of the celebration. And yeah. That's really it. That's Solo Flawless DSC Crypt in a nutshell. That's you know, probably one of the craziest solos of all time. It is it's an honor to have been able to clear, to be the last guy, I guess. I really don't know how to put it into words. It's truly insane because it's such a bittersweet feeling, you know. I feel so happy that I cleared, that I actually got it done, but I also feel so unbelievably sad for the people that didn't clear. You know, there was a French guy, Aquo, who wiped a final stand and he didn't clear. Exert, who didn't clear, who put in hundreds of hours, I think he said up to 300 hours into DSC. Ben, who didn't clear, who put quite a long time into DSC as well. And then I'm sure there's more people who are also going for flawless but just didn't have the time. You know, it's just sad to see, because again, this is absolutely one of the coolest solos of all time. Some of the tech that we use here is insane. The amount of shit you have to remember, and how insane you have to be at, or how insanely patient you have to be, while also being the fastest the fastest man alive is kind of insane. But yeah, this is where I'm going to wrap it up. Let me know if you enjoyed, by either or even didn't enjoy, you know, like, dislike, comment, tell me what I did wrong. yeah, and thank you for watching. If you stuck around to the end, I appreciate you. Let me know if you want me to do this for more solos. I'll probably end up doing Vault of Glass and Root of Nightmares as well, just to get the raids out of the way, and then who knows if we'll do individual encounters or you know, other stuff. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for saying what's up. Thank you for saying hello. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, night, evening, whatever time it is for you. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.